and let you know when it's up and running. Okay, we're good.
Okay, great.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I came across this quote, and it really resonated with me, and it really it's one of my favorite motivational speakers. I'm sure you're familiar with Les Brown.
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows Les. So he said this one thing. He said, "Known hells are preferable to strange heavens because it's familiar."
Wow.
And I tend to agree with that. A lot of, like
Yeah.
you said, a lot of people, they're comfortable with what they know, and
Yeah.
they're afraid of the unknown. So with this pandemic, I have noticed that a lot of our clientele,
Hmm.
they're limiting themselves because of the uncertainty, because of they're they're comfortable with what they know, what they've been taught, and
Yeah.
understand that it's also a culture. And when I say culture, I'm not talking about ethnicity. I'm actually talking about the subculture that people are raised in. I'll give you an example. Because we live out here in a rural community,
Hmm.
you do have generations
Hmm.
that are dependent upon government assisted programs,
Yeah.
just because these individuals were indoctrinated with the idea that the workforce has no place for me,
Hmm.
or in order for you to get ahead, just get some free money and
Hmm.
go that route. So our staff has done a really good job in helping
Hmm.
these individuals forecast, because the reality is this is gonna end, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and we want them to be prepared to take
Mhm.
that step. So that's one of the great things that we love
Yeah.
having you. And
Yeah.
I've seen a significant shift in the perspective of my staff when it comes to being motivated, when it
Yeah.
comes to assisting these individuals look
Yeah.
outside the box.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, man. I love that quote. When I first got into this industry, I had an hour-long conversation with Les.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
He's
that's
been around for
amazing.
a long time. And one of my good friends, Tony, unfortunately, she's passed away, but Tony and Les were good friends. And I was kind of just getting started. And she said, "How would you like to have a conversation with Les Brown?" And I said, "You're joking." I said,
Amazing.
no way you could pull that off. She said, just sit tight for a minute. She made a
Right.
phone call, and immediately I was on the call with him, man.
Wow.
So he has he's powerful, man. His words have helped corporations, organizations, businesses, industries. But what I love about him is he will take a person like me who was just getting started and still give me an hour, of
Yes.
his time.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal human being. So thank you for that quote, man, because I think that's a good segue into our conversation. You know, because I never heard that quote before. That's a powerful quote. I will be using it.
Sir. Yes, sir. It's very powerful.
Because I think we do get comfortable. I think people and we kind of get into this box. That's why you've always heard me say blow the box up,
Yes.
because we get into this box and we stay there. Now that's clients, but it also could be staff. It
Yes.
also could be leadership. It could be
Mm.
across the board. So I just want to ask you a few questions regarding our work, and because I consider you a great leader, man. The way the team responds very positively to you. But why did you feel that there was a need, in particular during this COVID-19, for this type of coaching and training? Because I find a lot of times people don't want to make that kind of investment. And I think it's necessary, not to say necessarily with me, but to invest in our people,
Yes.
during these times, because people need it. It's tough. So why did
Absolutely.
you feel the need to do this? Because obviously you were being really proactive with trying to engage your staff. So just some thoughts there.
So I'm gonna take it back a little bit. It started off. We had some major staff changes
Mhm.
when I came on. And unfortunately, the reasons why we had these staff changes was because we had individuals that,
Mhm.
were, as I like to describe them, energy vampires.
Yeah, we talked about it not too long ago. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
talked about
And
it. Yeah.
one thing that I've learned is that, sometimes when you recognize toxicity and you recognize that there is refusal to change or grow,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to make those decisions to, part ways with those individuals.
Yes.
And I realize that that also impacts and
Mhm.
can impact the morale of the team.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is with the COVID, we have to be
Mhm.
creative have to think outside the box. Again,
Yeah.
I'm going back to living and working in a rural community.
Mhm.
Getting these individuals to come in, especially during the pandemic,
Yeah.
has proven to be very, very challenging.
Mhm.
So, in order
Mhm.
for us to be able to think outside the box, we need someone that is going to provoke that
Yeah.
type of thinking
Yeah.
and be able to assist them with structuring uh, a perspective that is going to achieve the
Mhm.
outcome that we desire.
Mhm.
And there's nobody better than you, Coach.
I
So
appreciate that,
um,
man. Yeah. Yeah.
identifying the need to have somebody come in that
Mhm.
is able to recognize, identify, and provide that sound guidance
Yeah.
is crucial for the team. And as you've witnessed
Yeah.
over the course of time that we've been,
Mm.
having you over and speaking with you,
Mhm.
I've seen an improvement in the staff because of these simple adjustments. The best way, Coach, that I can describe it
Mhm.
for yourself and whoever else sees
Mhm.
this video is if you think about shooting pool or playing golf. Let's
Right.
go. If depending on how you hit the golf ball,
Mhm.
the ball is going to respond a certain way.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to change, I noticed that the feedback that you have given us allows my staff to make these incremental changes, these small, minor changes, but
Mhm.
it completely changes the direction that they
Yes.
were headed.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's really one of the biggest benefits that
Yeah.
that I've seen, and just having you,
Yeah.
train us. So
Yeah. I'll say this though. Why did you have to use the golf scenario? Because I'm always slicing.
yeah,
I'm not good at consulting and coaching, but boy, with that golf ball, I have problems, James.
I hear you. I,
I'll
man.
say this. One time I was playing last year, man, and I popped that puppy and it did the loop. It went straight and then it turned, curved, and went straight through somebody's window. That was the
Oh
last
man,
time I said that's the last time I'm gonna golf on a range where there's near people homes.
I hear you. Yes,
No,
sir.
no,
Yes, sir.
but I hear what you're saying because you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Your life experiences sometime really come into play in the way that you do things. And so, like for me, like what you just talked about, there's a reason why I have that philosophy with my work because I used to work for a company by the name of Abbott Laboratories in the medical diagnostics division. And we used to sell these big, what they call analyzers, like blood analyzers. So if you go get a thyroid test, we sold the systems you would get tested, you know what I mean? Things like that. But what would happen is this. We sold the systems, but we also sold the reagents. That's the actual thing that you use to do the testing. And we also sold something called calibrators. And what happens with the calibrators is you would put the calibrators in the system. You had to calibrate it every day because the systems would get off a little bit. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And so
yes.
if you didn't calibrate it, you may do a test and it can come out false positive or false negative. So
Yes.
every day, so I realize with people, we need to be calibrated sometime. It's not a negative. It's just
Well put.
sometimes, yeah, life or COVID or a pandemic
Mm-hmm.
can
Yes.
take us off, you know? And so you need something. I guess in a way, I'm calling myself a sort of a calibrator,
Right
you
on.
know, that
Absolutely.
calibrate. No, yeah,
And you know what? I think that's so important
yeah.
because again, it's so what I've encouraged, my staff, and this is something that I practice as well, is when I rise in the morning, before I used to, just like everybody else, go to my cell phone, see what's going on, see what the weather's going to be like.
Yeah.
Um, and I stopped doing that. And what I started doing was I began to set my intention for the day.
Mhm.
And this is something that I've shared with my staff and encouraged them to do. So, you're right on when it comes to,
Yeah.
we have to calibrate ourselves in the morning as soon as we get up because
Yeah.
we are facing these challenges,
Mm.
especially nowadays. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I just, and just a few, I don't want to take a lot of your time. I really appreciate it, man. And for those who are
Absolutely.
watching, James is with Arizona at Work in Mohave, LaPaz, and we've known each other for a long time. We've worked in the past on certain things. We're doing team building and some things, and then now we're focusing a lot on the same things, but we're looking at the pandemic and we're looking at
Mhm.
keeping the team really focused and synergized during the pandemic. So, but I want to ask you, and this is really a question to help other leaders out there. From your perspective, your team, I see a lot of leaders who they just do business as usual. You know what I mean? It's like wake up every morning, like you said, you go to work and you do your normal routine.
Yes.
What is it about you as a leader, or what is it about your organization that you guys are willing to, kind of go different pathways to produce new outcomes? Because I think some people struggle with that, man. They get, especially in this field of workforce, because workforce development has been around a long time and it's easy to be stuck in a mode. But
Yes.
why is it that your organization has a tendency to be a little bit more innovative? Talk to me about that, and really talk to people who may watch this.
Well, one thing that we promote is, just follow me here, is failure. To make as many mistakes as you can.
Yeah.
It's encouraged to make mistakes, and my staff is I don't want to say, we celebrate it, but I reinforce that, hey, now we learn together. So I've noticed that by encouraging my staff to make a decision, regardless if it comes out the way they planned it or not, the fact that they are taking the initiative and making the decision based off of the information that they have, based off of the intent to help the client achieve their goal, then I support them 100%. And that's really the culture that I've really been working on here, is to empower the staff, because at the end of the day, these are the individuals that are, boots on the ground, interacting with our participants. And there is so much to our participants. It's not just, hey, these individuals are out of work. There is so much more. We could be dealing with addiction. We could be dealing with domestic violence. We could be dealing with criminal charges. We could be dealing with all kinds of things. So to be able to have my staff provide sound guidance, this is where this is where you come in. This is where, we have the ability to provide these tools to our staff. And really what it does, it gives them that confidence. And that's really what it comes down to. If you think about sport, my son, I remember when he first started playing football, he was 7 years old, and I fell into that trap. His first game, I was, he's going to make, a couple interceptions, do a touchdown. And the reality is that's not the case.
That's not the case.
People find confidence once they learn what they're supposed to do. So
that's it. And that's good, man. That's really good. And you know what? That's leadership at its best. You're right. I'm a former athlete, man. And you just make mistake after mistake after mistake. I played football and I made mistake at it. And then I got pretty good at it, later, throughout high school and college. But you do. And you have to have coaches that can work with you through that process to help you become better at what it is you do.
Yes,
yeah, man, listen, I'm not going to take much more of your time. I have two things I want to ask you. One is an observation. How much do you pay your people to give you all those compliments they give you, man? I've never, when we're together during our monthly coaching and even our trainings, man, the things they say about you in the chat feature is amazing. And I think that's powerful, because you're focused on what needs to get done. You pull the best out of your staff, but they respect you as a leader. What would you say to those out there that are in leadership? How do you gain that kind of, not that there's a perfect scenario, James, I'm not, but how do you gain that kind of respect? Because I work with a lot of people, and I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I'm not trying to make you blush or anything, but the way your people respond to you, I'm impressed with that. And they respect their team. They always talk about their team. How does a leader foster that? Like, what is obviously, bringing people like me and we help, but just personally from a leadership perspective, how do you foster that kind of relationship with your staff?
So I'm going to just backtrack on what you had identified as calibrating.
Yeah.
Anytime I interact with them, there's subtle things that I will do. For example, when I send an email, I refer to everybody as the A team. Hey, how's the A team doing?
Yeah.
And I intentionally will plant seeds, positive seeds of confidence in them. I also, I like to lead through example. I'm not really the type of individual to dictate, hand things out. I'm a worker, And one of the challenging things transitioning from a worker into a supervisor role, two completely different mindsets.
Yeah.
So the reality is I have to constantly reflect within myself. I have to constantly check, okay, am I headed in the right direction? What's going on with me? By doing so, it just comes out, and it translates to everybody that I have interactions with.
Yeah.
So by focusing on myself and I communicate and my growth, it impacts everyone around me. It's just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
work on, the collective mind, if you will,
Yeah.
here, where we all are part of the vision and everybody has input.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You can see that. I mean, you really can. And I say that with admiration, because I deal with a lot of leaders, man. And that's not the easiest thing to pull off, but you seem to be very successful at that. And it's a pleasure working with your team. We meet monthly, man. And it seems like the energy level is always high. The interactions are always good. You don't have people slipping in negatives. Sometimes people can be real good at that.
yes, absolutely.
Sliding it into the chat feature, but you don't do that. So I'll give you a kudos. And as we get ready to wrap up, what is your staff saying? We're doing these coachings and we're spending time together. What kind of feedback are you getting from them regarding what we're doing here?
So everyone is saying how much that they love the training and they get excited. And one common thing that is across the board is, man, I needed that. I needed that.
Yeah.
And what it is, it acts as a replenisher, as a refresher. And that is it's so needed because we talk about compassion fatigue.
Yep.
We deal with people that come in that come to us with several significant barriers, and it could be really heart-wrenching.
Yes.
So having these trainings, it resets the staff, and it remotivates them to continue doing what they're doing. So and that's really the biggest thing, coach, is that you're not only providing tools, but you are also motivating, and you're provoking the staff to think outside the box. Look at things differently than what we previously may have perceived things to be. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. You know what, man? I think anyone in any kind of capacity, when you're dealing with people, particular clients today, and we've said this before as we get ready to wrap this up, James, is that people who pour out need to be poured into. And that's just all to it. You just can't keep operating from an empty vessel. Yes. And so I tell people all the time, that your people are worth the investment. It's amazing. Sometimes you have some people that say, well, we can't do that. We don't, do that. I said, listen, your people are your most valuable commodity, man. And it's not necessarily commodity, but the most valuable aspect of your work. And they're humans, and we all, and everyone right now is facing challenges with this COVID, kids at home in school, taking classes. You can't go here, can't go there, wearing masks, social distancing. So, the investment in a team is more important than ever. And I just want to say to you, man, I enjoy you guys being a customer. After a while, you become like friends and family because of the way we interact. And we always have our sports battles, the Arizona Philadelphia Eagles and all that. And your staff all over the place. You got Cowboys fans, you got Patriots.
Oh yeah, we got them all here. Yeah,
you got them all there.
Yeah,
we have a great time, but we also learn and grow together. So I just want to conclude by saying thank you, James, and see if there's any last words you want to share before as we wrap this up. So
yeah, absolutely. Just I want to thank you. It's an absolute pleasure, and I definitely want to recommend that if you haven't received any services through Coach D, invest not only in yourself but in your team. At the end of the day, the we is greater than the need. And just like Coach said, man, if everybody's running on fumes, you can't give nothing. You cannot give what you don't have. So we're definitely grateful and pleased just to know you're an awesome person, a great man, and we look forward to continuing with you.
Yeah, well, you're a great guy as well, man. I appreciate that, and keep up the good work. And we'll be seeing you soon. We got training coming up.
Yes, sir. Next week.
We got one coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. So take care. Give my best to everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, James. All right. Take care.